G'day YouTube, how the heck are we doing? It is Foul Play here and we're back for some more Pioneer action. So we're going to be continuing to test Mox Amber here today. Mox Amber being the legendary artifact for 0 mana that allows you to add 1 mana among any color among legendary creatures or planeswalkers you control. Into your mana pool, you can use that to cast spells. So the caveat to this is all our legendary creatures in this deck are white. We've got Skrelv, Lightpaws, and SRAM. All of those are white. The only exception to this is Gigantha in the sideboard. And if we're at the point of casting Gigantha, it's very likely we can't utilize the mana in the way that we would want to. But it does work quite well with Skrelv, with Lightpaws and SRAM. And I think if this deck's going to work at all, utilizing Mox Amber, we need to ditch the 2-drop auras. We need to ditch those clunky auras. So unfortunately, we say goodbye to Alpha Authority. We did lose Warbriar Blessing, Rune of Sustenance, All That Glitters. I think they're less of an issue to lose, honestly. I've played a lot of Bogles in the past in Modern, also in Pauper, and mana efficiency is a very real and important thing for our deck to get happening. So unfortunately no Alpha Authority to help combat that. We've got Combat Research though, so as long as your creature is legendary, it gets +1/+1 and has Ward. So we've got the full play set of Lightpaws, the full play set of SRAM, obviously the Skrelv as well, but we're probably not putting Combat Research on Skrelv most of the time. Like 3 lands, 1 aura on that specific creature? Unlikely. Most of the time you get Combat Research as a one-of is going to just be off the Lightpaws trigger, and it's going to help to protect Lightpaws a little bit, sort of like how Kaya's Ghost Form does, but in a different manner, and also while adding power and toughness. Outside of this, we've got lots and lots of white auras. So we've got 3 Cartouche of Solidarity, we've got 4 Ethereal Armor, 3 Griff Spoons, 4 Sentinel's Eyes. So I think Ben and Madsen's list had either 2 or 3 Cartouche, 2 Griff Spoons, 3 Sentinel's Eyes. So we've got a stack of extra white auras to help utilize that mana. As usual, we have the Suspect Audacity, which is just amazing, just fantastic, having the addition of Trample and that evasive effect in Pauper. Generous Visitor is hanging on as a one-of currently. This card could quite possibly just be removed for another white aura, such as Griff Spoon or Cartouche, maybe a different white aura. So I have had an idea with like Zealot's Conviction running this card. It's an interesting one. I don't know if this would be a good thing or not, but it is a flash aura. Enchant creature gets 1/1. As long as an opponent has 3 or more poison counters on it, enchant creature gets an additional +1 and has first strike. Most of the time, you're not going to be able to play it for its corrupt effect, although Skrelv might get you there depending on how you manage your resources. Most of the time, it's going to be flash, so your game plan is going to look like turn 1 Skrelv, turn 2 Lightpaws, and then Mox Amber. You're going to hold up your white mana, you're not going to cast anything, sort of similar to how we do things at the moment, but we're like resilient through 1 extra removal spell, because your Zealot's Conviction can get your Kaya's Ghost Form in response to a spell being cast to remove it, and you know, that's not a bad combat trick to have up your sleeve by any merit. In the sideboard, we've made some changes as well. So we've got the addition of Hallowed Moonlight. So for 2 mana at instant speed, until end of turn, if a creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead, draw a card. So where's this going to be good? It's going to be good into Indomitable Creativity decks. It's going to be good into the Vehicles deck that reanimates stuff from the graveyard. I'm pretty excited for Hallowed Moonlight and to test it out and see how it goes. To make way for that, just removing the War of Sustenance, the Warbriar's Blessing, and 1 Extraction Specialist, which I've sort of been underwhelmed by. Previously, we did add an extra copy of Hushbringer into the sideboard, I believe. I think this was only at 2 previously in Benton Madsen's list, after trimming down on Portable Hull. Alright, so here we are for the first match. We won the die roll versus Mr. Guile. And unfortunately, this hand isn't keepable. We've only got one mana source. It is green. If this was a green-white mana source, we could definitely keep Scout plus Cartouche and Sentinel's Eyes. Fortunately, we do have to mulligan. Now we've got a Skrelv hand with no huge other action. Opponent keeping a 7 as well. This could be a pretty good Skrelv hand. I think we're supposed to mulligan at least one more time. If we knew what we were versing, this could potentially be a keep though. Alright, this is definitely a keep. We're not going to do any better than this. Ditch a Branch Loft Pathway. And then probably the play is ditch Hammerhand. We're going to be relying on getting our mana sources up. And then we're going to like basically try and leverage as much as we can off of this Light Pause as possible. Alright, well, our game plan has fallen to shit. It didn't take long. It's amazing what a Mold of 5 can do against a Thoughtseize deck for you. However, this is a pretty good top deck. Ethereal Armor, probably our best top deck in the spot. If we can get some sort of evasion after this, or some sort of Edict protection, that could be pretty valuable. We don't want to ask for too much though. The magic gods have already blessed us. So Asylum Visitor at the beginning of each player's upkeep. If that player has no cards in hand, you draw a card and lose 1 life? Man, this is absurd. I'm keeping this Forest in hand. Or we could play Forest, Gigantha to hand. Interesting. Wait, why couldn't I attack then? Did I accidentally skip through my attack step? Well, that was a mistake. Holy smokes. Perks are playing Magic Online right now. Field of Ruin. Liliana of the Veil getting main decked. Yeah, so no matter what we did, it didn't really matter. Unfortunate. We just missed out on 4 points of damage, which could be a crucial 4 points of damage, really. Skrelv into hand. So what does that mean? Our opponent's removal is likely to be Fatal Push, right? So Gigantha is the premium card we want to try to resolve. It's not a very good time to try and resolve Gigantha though, because if we play land, we're still 1 turn off of Gigantha. Opponent's Liliana ticks up to 2. We get to our 4th land drop, we discard Gigantha, and then Liliana's at Edict effect. So I think we do have to gamble on Skrelv here. We'll look to keep this Forest in our hand. Although, no, I should play the Forest because Liliana ticks up, we discard, so it doesn't matter. Asylum Visitor's getting that value. Apologies, a couple of misplays here. I haven't played in over a week, so clearly I'm very rusty at the minute. Also, correct me if I'm wrong or not, but this doesn't seem like one of the usual tier 1 decks. I'm still pretty new to Pioneer as a format. Waste Not? What do you guys think? Waste Not? Are you serious, man? Another Asylum Visitor. So he's stacking Asylum Visitor triggers. Gets to draw 2 cards now. This is horrendous for us. If we get Evasion, we can take out Liliana, though. That could be something. That's not Evasion. Well, we'll see if our opponent fails to block, but outside of that, I mean, we're pretty screwed, and it's pretty much going to a game 2, I think. Sideboarding in game 2. So opponent makes the decisive... Oh, wait, no, they decide not to block. What the heck? Anyway, very slim chances to actually win from there. Oh dear mother of God, if this is a list our opponent is playing, we are absolutely boned here. So after a quick Google search, I found this Waste Not deck. It's running the playset of Thoughtseize. It's running 3 Sheralda's Edict in the main deck, 4 Liliana of the Veil in the main deck. Yeah, this does not look good for us at all. In the sideboard, we see Extinction Event, Duress, another Sherald's Edict. Yeah, Invoke Despair. I don't think we're winning this one. Let's see what we can do in sideboarding. Reminder guys, if you enjoyed the video, find it entertaining or informative, please consider subscribing for more content like this. So Adante Vanguard is probably a good card to have in the matchup. I'm a bit torn on Extraction Specialist. Obviously, returning a creature from the graveyard to the battlefield could be good, but we might already be lost at that point. Generous Visitor seems a little bit medium. Things like Skrelv and Light Pause actually seem pretty decent to me. It's possible Hammerhand's not that important, but We need to minus one more card. Let's just minus one SRAM because it's got a different artwork after hiring it. Let's go with that. I don't know. I don't think it's going to make a crazy amount of difference. We're probably pretty boned. This hand seems like semi-reasonable. We'll have to draw well. I'm assuming my opponent has like one copy of Thoughtseize. If we had Leyline of Sanctity, that would be a very good card to board in against our opponent, but against Sherald's Edict, it's not going to stop the sacrifice effect because Sherald's Edict raids each opponent sacrifices a creature. So I really think we're defeated before anything else happens here. Still, opponent with the Thoughtseize on turn 1, a bit of a decision to make. If they take the Light Pause and we start like drawing auras, we can start going ham pretty quickly. They just take the Glade Cover Scout, interestingly enough. All right, so hopefully we can find something interesting off the top. That's not really what we're looking for. In these spots, usually you delay the Light Pause. It's going to feel really bad if we don't hit the aura we need to, though. It just skipped me through my attack step. I clicked attack. Oh my god. There's some sort of horrible client lag going on here right now. Alright, so opponent plays a swamp, passes to us, holding up mana. And this is an interesting one because their opponent is very likely to have like a Sherald's Edict, and they're very likely to do that in response to us casting our Light Pause. So goodbye Glade Cover Scout. I mean, maybe we go to attack step. They probably just do what they need to anyway. Fortunately, we hit our Light Pause, our Cartouche of Solidarity, so we get the Light Pause trigger. We can try and keep Light Pause around. I do think it's worth going for Kaya's Ghost Form right off the bat. Opponent's other removal that is not Sherald's Edict is fairly cheap, so going for something like Combat Research with that Ward 1, probably not going to be the best. Opponent with Duress, they know about this Mana Confluence in hand. They saw this at the start of the game during their first reveal. That's a very poor Duress. I guess they're probably not going to have another time to use it, so they're just making sure or something, but here we go. Sentinel's Eyes. If this resolves, we can get an Audacity, and that'll be pretty nice, getting that card draw trigger happening. Fatal Push on the Light Pause, Kaya's Ghost Form on the trigger. And Sentinel's Eyes misses, a swing and a miss from Sentinel's Eyes. Let's see what happens. We'll exile a couple of auras, escape this Sentinel's Eyes from the graveyard. Does our opponent have another Fatal Push? Alright, so it looks like our opponent does not have another Fatal Push. So the question is Combat Research, Hammerhand, maybe a Cartouche or an Audacity. Opponent down to 3 cards in hand. So removal is Power Word Kill, Sherald's Edict, Fatal Push, Meathook Massacre, and then they've got like Invoke Despair later on. We can dodge Invoke Despair at least initially. I don't think Ward 1's going to do a huge amount, honestly. So let's just go for Audacity just for that extra damage in the future. We'll attack with our Warrior token. Unfortunately, we lose the tempo on Light Pause. Hopefully we can set up for a pretty powerful turn next turn, like we hit an Ethereal Armor into, I guess Combat Research would be a reasonable one. Meathook Massacre, and that's going to give neg X, which is X is equal to 1, I believe. So we do lose our token. Looks like our opponent's setting up for a Liliana of the Veil, a Sherald's Edict. We do top deck the SRAM, so that's a pretty nice find. We're going to go ahead and attack with Light Pause. So that's an attack for 5, fortunately. If they start dealing with our Light Pause, we can recast Sentinel's Eyes on SRAM, get that draw trigger. Boseiju, we can Boseiju our own Sentinel's Eyes. Can we destroy target an opponent control? So we can't do that. All right, well, let's just go ahead and we'll attack with both our creatures. All right, both of them getting in there, 7 damage. This is a 2-turn clock. And we can Gigantha to hand. We'll see if our opponent makes us discard it. Who knows? Oh, opponent's passing back to us, and it looks like maybe, just maybe, our opponent might actually be running out of gas here. So I'm going to Cartouche on our SRAM, draw trigger. And then we've got our Light Pause trigger, we've got our Cartouche token, plenty of stuff going on here. Opponent concedes the game, we take the win. Holy crap. Isn't that a good feeling? All right, well, it goes to game 3, but I don't hold out hugely high hopes. All right, given how well that went after dodging just 1 or 2 pieces of interaction from our opponent, let's load up on a couple more creatures, bring Generous Visitor back in, bring in Extraction Specialist. We'll take out Curious Obsession because it's kind of weak on Audacity just because it's unlikely we'll need more than like 2 copies of Audacity in the entire match. So it seems a little bit overkill. I'd prefer a card like Griffspoon because I can replay it from my graveyard to the battlefield. All right, we see the 7. I think this is a snap keep. It forces our opponent to have turn 1 Thoughtseize. Turn 1 Duress isn't going to be good enough. We might potentially hold off on SRAM. Is it Duress? Yes, it's Duress. All right, Kaya's Ghost Form's not a big loss. We keep this hand expecting 1 piece of interaction, and then maybe we dodge from that point forward and reload, and things are good. Skrelv off the top. That's an interesting find. And you know what? I am more than happy to oblige. Let's play this Skrelv out. It potentially gets removed by Fatal Push, but that removal spell is hitting Skrelv instead of SRAM, and we want to put pressure on our opponent here. Alright, Waste Not from our opponent. So whenever an opponent discards a creature card, create a 2/2 black zombie. Whenever an opponent discards a land card, add 2 black mana. Whenever an opponent discards a non-creature non-land card, draw a card. Alrighty, that is a mouthful of words there. There's potential for our opponent to have something like Extinction Event. They tapped out this turn. I think we can just sort of play our SRAM, just lean on our SRAM a little bit, and just no attacks from Skrelv. The other option was attack with Skrelv double Scout, but that plays poor into an Extinction Event in future turns. So I just want to play slightly conservatively here, at least for 1 more turn. If our opponent was holding up mana, I probably would have decided to go for the Scout line. It's just the fact he tapped out for Waste Not that made me do this. Second Waste Not from our opponent. Yeah, this doesn't seem very good, opponent. Oh, neither does that. Speaking of Extinction Event, that would be pretty good right now, really. All right, let's play a Bottle Life Pathway on... I guess we're not really going to need like triple white this game. We'll Gigantha to hand and pass to our opponent. Oh, Geria Reach Sanctum. Each player draws a card, then discards a card for 2 mana. I think there's a combo with this, right? No, that must be with a different card. An opponent... God, my draws right now. An opponent if a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. Return that card to the battlefield, create a 2/2 black zombie. All right, so pro black, attack. This has lifelink. It's not pro black. It can't be blocked by black, and etc. All right, let's pay a couple of life. We want to like keep our opponent's health stack semi under check here. I can't believe they kept a hand with like no removal. Maybe we'll see the removal now. We'll see if Light Pause baits it. The Scout could be an overextension. If they Extinction Event, that would really suck for us. Guess we can wait and see. Yes, Extinction Event, we either keep Light Pause and SRAM, or we keep Scout and Skrelv, so it's not the end of the world either. Opponent, each player draws a card, then discards a card. What do we want to give our opponent? A 2/2 black zombie or draws a card? Mox Amber is very poor for us. It does allow us to cast Gigantha next turn, though. I think the creature is probably less of an issue than a random card draw and them getting interaction for us. So let's ditch that one. Opponent gets a couple of zombie tokens, whatever. Discarding Inscription of Rune, 3 mana, kicker of 4. Choose one if the spell was kicked, choose any number. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Return target creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Destroy target creature with mana value 3 or less. Okay. Oh, opponent exiled a Shroud to play this one. Alright, deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker and you gain X life. Dealing with our Light Pause, Unfortunately, we just discarded the light pause, so we switched off a light pause altogether. Maybe I should have discarded Glade Cover Scout instead. Oh my god, this is absolutely woeful. Alright, well, let's go all in on our Gigantha. Get in there, buddy. And probably Pro Black SRAM attack to keep their life total in check. There's 0 cards in hand right now. Let's hold Skrelv up in case they draw some sort of removal for one of these creatures. There was that power word kill we talked about before. Alright, another dead draw. We're at turn 6. We've had 6 natural draws in this game and 1 draw from the Sanctum our opponent has. That's very interesting. Honest to God, that is absolutely insane. I'm going to play into Extinction Event. If our opponent gets that, they get us. I don't really care. I'm going to just empty my hand so our opponent can't get as much value from these Waste Knots. They do have the active on Garrow Reach Sanctum. Maybe I should play around that. We're just in such an awkward spot. If we can start drawing... creatures, we could potentially recover. Alright, we don't need like 2 scouts. Let's sack a scout. That's fine. Alright, we'll play our other scout out and yeah, hope we actually top deck something, start chaining some auras together with SRAM. I don't think we're in a position to attack with Gigantha, so I'm not going to. I don't have life gain in this deck, so that's a pretty big problem for us. Alright, what timing. What a time to draw an aura, guys. Oh god, opponent is reloading their hand like there's no tomorrow. This is bad for us. Oh, some zombies are gonna get on in there. Okay, well, we might as well block one of these zombies. If we block like this, we take 6, we go to 6. I guess that's okay. The real MVP that we're going to hit, if we hit it, is going to be Sentinel's Eyes. It's going to give that vigilance. We can start attacking with Gigantha and holding up the giant blocker as well. Destroy all creatures with mana value of 3 or less. Cool. Nice. Ritual of Soot. Lovely stuff there. Wait. They get zombies from that? Wait, what? Oh, from Kalitas? Okay, well that's pretty bad for us. I don't really know what we can do there. Let's pass to our opponent. There's no attacks to be had because we're dead on crackback. Fatal push on the warrior token, so we're just dead on crackback anyway. Well, that's a shame. I feel like we kept a pretty reasonable hand for the matchup, and we did low roll on auras quite a gosh darn bit. Opponent hit the perfect amounts of interaction at the perfect time. We drew Cartouche a turn too late as well. I mean, realistically, we probably still would have lost that game if we'd drawn Cartouche a turn earlier, but it does still suck having that. And, you know, there we go. The top of our deck is stacked with auras as the final middle finger. At the very least that match was competitive because it could have been a complete and utter blowout, and it is a horrendous matchup, particularly if we don't have Leyline of Sanctity. Well, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something new. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you then.